on my monitor. So before we get started today, I wanted to just let you know that this webinar is sponsored by the National Tribal Toxics Council and the Tribal Pollution Prevention Network. I just wanted to let you know what each of those were before we go ahead and get started. So the National Tribal Toxics Council is a U.S. EPA partnership group that's focused on providing tribes with an opportunity for greater input on issues related to toxic chemicals and pollution prevention. On this website, which is at nau.edu, ITEP, Maine, NTTC, or you can just Google National Tribal Toxics Council, you can find out some more information about the NTTC and how you might be able to get involved. And if you have toxic concerns or questions, please feel free to contact the council. As I mentioned, I'm the co-chair of the Tribal Pollution Prevention Network. We're a national network of tribal environmental professionals, and our main objective is to share information and identify solutions to address environmental issues that affect tribal nations. And we do that by using pollution prevention methodologies. So when I say that, I just mean by preventing pollution from the start rather than dealing with pollution kind of at the end of the pipe. And before we hear from our featured speaker today, I would like to just walk you through a couple features of our tribal pollution prevention site. The webinar that you're about to hear will be recorded and put in this main section or on the home page. On the upcoming webinar, we'll have the PowerPoint presentation as well as the recording. But there are also many ways to search for resources on this website. And so I'm just going to show you quickly how to do that. For example, today we're talking about chemicals and toxins, and we're talking about where you can find that in your community. So for example, if you wanted to find additional resources on avenues for reducing toxins in casinos, for example, you could search for casinos. You could click on the casino resource topic area, and then all of the resources that we have for casinos that are related to casinos. So these for example, Organics Composting Webinar, a Green Casino Group, National Clean Diesel Campaign are listed as far as websites, PowerPoint presentations, and also sometimes their toolkits. So those are listed, as well as people who have agreed to be to work with those that have questions on this topic area. So for example, and these could be tribal environmental professionals, or they could be EPA folks or agency folks, industry, university folks, and those are all listed under that topic area as well. So, and these are folks that have said, yes, I have expertise in this particular area. You're welcome to contact me with any questions, and this is how you go about contacting that person, and here's their areas of expertise. So I just wanted to show you that quickly. Also, if you were to, you wanted to look at the collaborator map and find for example, tribal environmental professionals that had expertise in that topic area, you could go to this main collaboration map and you could choose tribal environmental professionals, and then you could just click on, say, casinos and maybe chemicals and toxins and see what comes up. I should have cleared it all first. But as you can see, as we scroll down here, we're losing folks. But so all of these people have agreed to be collaborators and have some expertise. They are all tribal environmental professionals, and they have expertise in this topic area. So feel free to use this map and use any of these resources. Give us any feedback on that if you'd like to, and that is all at tribalp2.org. And with that, I'd like to send this over to Bridget Williams. Bridget is an integral part of the EPA Safer Choice Program. Another really interesting thing about Bridget is that she is from the state of Montana, which is my state. That's her home state. And I always like to tease her because I can't really imagine how she could leave Montana and voluntarily go to D.C., but she has, and she's doing a great job with EPA, and we hope that she comes back to Montana at some point. And with that, go ahead, Bridget.
Oh, thanks so much, Mila. And thank you to the NTTC for sponsoring this webinar. I'm always happy when I can present about our program and talk about chemicals. And even I'll just mention Montana briefly. I did grow up there, and actually I lived in most of the western states at some point in my life. And so I really, somehow I ended up in Washington, D.C. and uh, do miss the mountains a little, but so thank you for that plug. Um, but again, thank you for inviting me to speak. My background is chemistry. I studied chemistry in Colorado and in Washington. And for some weird reason, I loved chemistry, and I'm hoping that by the end of my presentation today, you might like it just a little bit, or at least know that there's this cool tool out there to help you find safer products. So one or the other. Um, so uh, the topic today is the Safer Choice program and our Safer Choice label. And today, let's see if the slides go. There they go. Today I'm going to talk about the label, what it is. We did just redesign the old label, so the Safer Choice label is now a new label, and I'll explain that a little bit. I'll tell you what it means. So when you see it on a product, what does this label mean? A little bit about what folks are saying about it, the standards that are behind the label, how to find products that carry this label, and then I have some additional resources at the end. And I would also ask you to contact me if you have any questions anytime. So you may have heard about our program once upon a time, and if you didn't, that's, oops, I'm losing my view. There we go. And if you didn't, that's okay, because it's better that you know Safer Choice, since that's what we are now. Prior to March of this year, our program was formerly known as the Design for the Environment Program, or DFE. And uh, we are located at EPA. We're an EPA program. We're a voluntary program, so we're not part of the regulatory structure here at EPA. But what we do have is all of the years of expertise that EPA has developed in reviewing chemicals at our disposal. And so we leverage that expertise in looking at products and reviewing the chemicals in those products against our safer chemical criteria. Our program has been doing this for more than 15 years. We've gotten a pretty good understanding of what goes into products, where the chemical supply chain. So if you're a product manufacturer, you're sourcing chemicals from someone else who may be sourcing them from another person. So going up that supply chain and looking at all the chemicals that are added to a product at each stage and assessing them for safety. And I want to point out that we have 3 labels. So before I go too far, the one on the left is the one you may see in your grocery store. This is our primary label, or what we're calling our consumer-facing label. It has the house, and there's 2 people in there, so that's kind of representing the human health aspect, and then the leaves for the environment. The name is Safer Choice, and again, that's speaking back to that voluntary nature of the program. Product manufacturers have the choice to come to our program, to let us review their products, and consumers and purchasers, we have a choice to choose those products. The tagline says what the product has met, which is our safer product standards here at EPA. And then we have the URL so that anyone who's interested can find out more information about the program and what the label means. The other 2 logos, I think it's important for you to know about them because you may see them. The first one is for what we call industrial and institutional use. These are products that may be used in schools and hospitals, hotels. They could be used to clean the asphalt in your parking lot or to remove graffiti from a wall. So more industrial kind of uses, but sometimes they're just all-purpose cleaners that you buy in bulk. And when we were redesigning the logo from that, I'm going to go back up for just a second. So this was the old logo, the design for the environment globe. So in the process of redesigning that, what we found from some of our manufacturers is that they really like the little half circle better than the house. So we're giving them the option to use that. And then the third label is our fragrance-free label. And what this is basically a verification of a fragrance-free claim. So if someone's looking for a fragrance-free product, this label would tell them that the product is fragrance-free. Products with this label have to meet the same criteria as the regular old Safer Choice label, but then there's additional fragrance-free criteria on top of that. All right, so what does this label mean? Basically, it's verification by EPA that a product with this label meets our safer product standards. So the product is safer for people, family, pets, communities, the environment, safer for the workers cleaning your hotels or casinos or schools. And it's also important to point out that our criteria does have performance requirements, so these products will work. The primary goal of this logo, let's go back, is to make it easy for folks to find products that meet our standards. And here's some quick first responses that we've gotten about the new logo. Consumer Reports has been following it fairly close. And when we announced the logo in March, they ran a little tiny blurb in their online magazine, and then they followed it up with this article on the right-hand side in their May issue. And it basically saying why they like it. It's the message in the upper right-hand corner. Then at the end of July, they released an article that was really interesting. What they found is that a majority of us would pay more for cleaning products. But they noted that products with the Safer Choice label aren't necessarily more expensive. So it was a really interesting study showing that there is interest. People are looking for safer products, and now they have a tool to help. We have a tool to help us find them. Also, interestingly, a partner of ours did a survey, and their respondents said that they would be willing to try a product with the new label. Okay, so in order to carry the label, what kind of criteria does a product have to pass? Well, it has to meet our Safer Choice standards. And there's two levels of criteria is the way to think of it. The first is every ingredient in the product must meet our criteria for both human health and environmental safety. And then on top of that, we have product level requirements. I'll talk about those more in a little bit. But they include things like performance, so does the product work? Packaging, what's in the bottle that the product is going into? And ingredient disclosure. And again, I'll talk about that a little bit later. The other thing is these products that are qualified to use the label must be covered under what we call a partnership agreement between the company and us. This partnership agreement is good for only 3 years, at the end of which we re-review the products like new. Because sometimes, you know, what once was a safer chemical, say 3 years ago, maybe new data was developed and we've reassessed it and it may not be safer today. So we always are checking in with our partners to make sure that the formulas contain the safest possible ingredients. And then each year, the product manufacturers are required to have an annual audit where we look at the manufacture of the products to ensure that the chemicals are still aligning, that we pull batch records and verify that the products are in compliance. Okay, now before I go on, because I'm a chemist, I have to back up just a moment and explain chemical ingredients. I mentioned them on the previous slide and said we review all of them. And I think it's important to point out, and you'll see this sometimes, the term chemical-free. And as a chemist, it's kind of like fingernails on a chalkboard because it really doesn't exist. Everything in this universe is made up of chemicals. We call them chemical ingredients. One way to think of it is it's kind of like baking bread. So you have your flour and your sugar and your water, and you mix all together and you get bread. Same thing for a product. Products have different chemical ingredients, and you mix them all together and you get your all-purpose cleaner or your detergent. So everything is made up of chemicals. And if you ever see chemical-free, that's a big key that maybe something's not quite right there. So here on the second bullet, you'll see some examples of the chemical ingredients that go into products. There are a lot of them. They all serve different functions. And I thought it would be fun to just take 3 of them and explain what they do a little bit. So when you look at the back of a product and you see one of those wacky long chemical names that you could go, wait, maybe that's a surfactant or a chelate. So a surfactant is the workhorse of the product. It removes the dirt. It's this long fatty chain, kind of like an oil, and it has this little unit on the end that pulls into water. So they really do the majority of the cleaning. A defoamer does exactly what it sounds. It reduces the amount of foam or bubbles, and this is really important, say, for dishwashers, where you don't want foam coming out as you're washing your dishes. And then chelants, they remove metals. So an example here is calcium. If you're in an area that has hard water, the calcium in your hard water may interact with your detergent and make the surfactant that I talked about not work. So if you add a chelant, it would remove the calcium, laying that surfactant do its job. So what our program does is we look at all of the chemicals in a product. We look at them by these, what we call functional classes, but by their chemical ingredient class. And we determine which ones are the safest possible. And it's important, I just want to point out, it's important to choose products that contain safer chemicals. And this is important because of we want to protect human health and the environment and our communities. So when we assess chemical ingredients, these are what we're looking at when we look at chemicals. For human health, we're looking at, does the chemical cause carcinogenicity? Is it going to cause cancer? Is it a mutagen? So is it going to muck with DNA? A reproductive or developmental toxicant that would interrupt or disrupt the development of a fetus? Is it a skin sensitizer or a respiratory sensitizer? So is it going to irritate the skin or cause issues for lungs? On the environmental side of things, we're looking at chemicals to see if they're going to hang out in the environment for a while, if they're going to bioaccumulate, so if they'll start showing up in animals and us over time. And we're looking at things like aquatic toxicity. So if the chemicals are discharged immediately into the environment, what would the effect be on aquatic life? If it's discharged to the treatment plant, is there sufficient time for the chemicals to degrade? So we look at pretty much any data we can get on these chemicals, and there's a lot of other endpoints, but I want to give you a flavor of the type of review we put into these. You can find all of our criteria on our website. It's here, this www.epa.gov/saferchoice/standard, no S. All of our criteria for the the chemical review, which is here at the bottom, the ingredient criteria, the product level review, and then also a sample of the partnership agreement can be found on this page. So at the base is that review of the chemical ingredients. That's the heart of our program. We add on top of that all of these product level requirements. So I mentioned the performance. Packaging, we're verifying that there are no heavy metals or certain phthalates. We also look at VOC content. The pH, we don't want it too acidic or too basic. And then synergistic effects, which is a fun term. It means if you have chemical A and chemical B, and they get together and react, and they form chemical C, well, chemical C could also be problematic. And so we would look at chemical C, that thing that we created, to make sure that it also meets our criteria. We also require ingredient disclosure, and this is very important. This is not a requirement for these types of products. So if you go into a grocery store and you turn over a bottle, you won't see all the ingredients in a cleaner like you would for your bread or your cereal. There's no requirement for products to disclose their ingredients. However, for our program, in order to use the label, the products must carry the disclosure either on the bottle, on a website, or on a phone line that's available 24/7. I also mentioned the auditing, which is annual, and then that partnership agreement, which is good for 3 years. Okay, so how do you find these products? Here is the website, and I have a screenshot in a moment, and I can show you it a little bit more. It has that weird www.epa.gov/saferchoice/products. The cool thing is we update this list every 2 weeks. So it's not a static list. We're always adding new products on there. Some are coming off. So if you don't see something on there now, keep checking back. You can also send me an email too. And we pretty much, if it's not on there, it's not Safer Choice. So that's important to know if you're looking to purchase products with the Safer Choice label. There are more than 2,000 products on that list. About a quarter of them are what we call consumer or retail products. So these are products found in stores. The rest of them are those I&I products I mentioned. So they're used in places like office buildings and schools. These may be purchased directly from the manufacturer. Sometimes they're purchased through distributors. So asking your local distributor if they carry Safer Choice products is another good way to find products with the label on it. We label a broad range of categories. Most of them are cleaning products. We do have an athletic field paint, and at one point we even labeled firefighting foam. So we do have the capability to expand. If you see a category not on your list, and or even if you know a product manufacturer that's interested in participating, we would be happy to look at that product sector or even work with that manufacturer. I want to point out here, before I move on too far, I'm sure many of your facilities may participate in LEED. And under LEED, EBOM, Existing Buildings and Operations Management, version 4, Safer Choice is included and can count as credit to maintaining LEED certification. We were included under Design for the Environment. So when you see Design for the Environment, that's the same thing as Safer Choice. And the link here takes you directly to that credit. Okay, so here's a screenshot of our products page. It's fairly simple at the moment. You can enter a product or a company name. You can choose if it's for home or business, and I chose business on this one. And then you can choose a product type. You can do all three of those, or you could just even do one. So say you're interested in business and carpet cleaners, like I was this morning, then you enter business, carpet cleaners, and it pre-sorts the list, so that's what you see. You could just enter in the product or company name too. Here's a list of all the product categories where we have products right now. So for facility cleaning, you'll see we have bathroom cleaners and kitchen cleaners, degreasers, multi-surface cleaners, and laundry. Personal care, we do have hand soaps. We are looking at going into other products in that space, so shampoos and conditioners. Shampoos seem to be a fairly similar match in terms of chemistry and might be simpler. And we're working with FDA on these products right now. And then automotive and outdoor, so maintaining cars and boats. We do have products that can help with that as well. Okay, this is kind of a new tool on our website. It's not nearly as cool as the map that Mila just showed you. So I think we have some work to do on this, but it's pretty good. Feel free to let me know if there's something missing, if there's something that would be useful to you. We would be happy to augment this and make it better. So on our page, you'll find the safer choices to use in your community. The website is on the right-hand side. And what we're trying to do is create a map or a community. And you'll see here we have a home, a hotel, an office, a stadium, and then I cut off schools at the bottom. And if you click on one of those spaces, like I did for a hotel here, you'll see a list of products that could be used in a hotel. And when you click that list, so if you click the all-purpose cleaners, it would take you to a pre-sorted list. And unfortunately, I didn't show that. But it would take you to a pre-sorted list just like this. So that starts to get you close to the products for that particular use. And then I want to give you, before I end this webinar, I'd like to make sure you have these additional tools. So the Sustainable Facilities tool is pretty cool. There's a map of a facility under the Explore tab on that page, and you can click through a building. So you could go into a kitchen and click around the kitchen, and it'll describe where, which types of products are used there, or you can click around an office, and it talks about different types of products, so lighting and cleaners and carpet and things like that. I think it's a pretty cool resource, and I just wanted to share that with you today. We also have our safer chemical ingredients list. So for those of you who are really interested in nerding out on chemicals like me, there's the safer chemical ingredients list. This is our list. These are chemicals that we reviewed in the Safer Choice program, and they meet our criteria. And if you go to that website, you can click through and you'll see which chemicals meet our criteria and are acceptable for use in the Safer Choice label products. And then I just want to also point out that that list is just what we call, it's pretty bare bones. It's just a common chemical name. So like water, we'll use water. But it wouldn't tell you who makes the water. So it would just be the chemical, and you wouldn't know which company to go buy your water from. But Green Blue's Clean Ingredients has the supplier. So if it was water and it said Bridges Bottling Company in Montana is where you can buy it, that's where you would go. You would go to Clean Ingredients to find that kind of information. So if you have any questions, I've put my contact information on the slide. My colleague Chen Wen is his contact information as well, and we would be happy to work with you or answer any questions.
Thank you, Bridget. So I forgot to mention at the beginning of the talk that please go ahead and ask questions in the question pane of the webinar drop-down menu. Please go ahead and type some questions in there. And Bridget, I wanted to ask you too. So you talked a little bit about how to find what some safer choice options were for each of those facilities. Then once say I manage a hotel and I've taken that step to find out what those chemicals, what those safer choice options are, then how would you suggest you work through your cleaning vendor, or what would be the next step?
Yeah, so usually it depends, and it's hard to say what someone's particular situation might be. If it's a small hotel, they could be sourcing their products from the grocery store. So then they could just go and look for the label. If it's a larger hotel, or I imagine like some of the casinos, they have quite a lot of space, so they're probably purchasing chemicals in bulk, the products in bulk. And so there are typically contracts involved, and you have to kind of look at your contracts and figure out who's supplying potentially for that contract. Sometimes it's simple enough and you can just switch vendors if there's no contract. Um, so the vendors are the same thing as a distributor. It may be a company in your area that sells cleaning products, and they may sell their own branded cleaning products. They may sell other companies' cleaning products. So that's one way. The other route is contacting like a larger distributor. One that comes to mind, and this is not an endorsement of this one, but like kind of like an Amazon, there's Grainger, so there's some online entities as well. But those are some of the ideas that come to mind. Everyone's situation is just a little bit different, though.
Great, great. And one question too, another question was whether, so if there is a member of the community or a purchaser right now that's listening, and they've heard this and said, okay, well, I would like to buy some safer choice products for my school in my community. What would be your elevator speech for them for going and talking to their managers?
Yes. So safer safer products are not only safer for us and our environment, but for your workers. So for those folks who are cleaning facilities day in and day out and are exposed to these products, choosing safer products can help protect their life. It makes business sense because the healthier your workers are, the basically the better for your business if they're not taking sick time off. I would say that choosing safer products is important for populations with sensitivities. So especially schools, ensuring that kids and even like retirement communities, that those folks have the safest products used in their environment is really important for their health. For our communities, choosing safer products that say you're cleaning graffiti off of a wall, making sure that whatever you're putting into the environment is the safest possible is very important for streams and just the immediate environment, the soil and the air. So that's my quick elevator pitch. I could probably make it a little bit longer.
Excellent. Very good. And then we had another question about whether we can print the slides, and yes, we will post the PowerPoint if that's okay with you, Bridget. We'll post. Okay, we'll post the PowerPoint presentation as well as the recording right on the homepage of tribalp2.org in the next few days, and you'll be able to print the slides directly from there. Is there any other additional questions from anybody? Go ahead and type those into the question pane. If not, Bridget, could you just spend one more minute talking about some of the products that you can find actually in grocery stores now or in hardware stores
Sure.
around the country?
Sure, we do have some. They're starting to show up now. And again, this is an endorsement, but I'm going to maybe mention some names for you, so that'll help. We have some early adopters, and we've seen and we've had reports of products showing up in almost any kind of store out there. On my travels this summer, I even found some in some tiny hardware stores. So the CLR, Gelmer CLR products are getting out there. I know Costco has their own brand, and that's starting to show of laundry detergent, and that's starting to show up in their stores. I think Home Depot is carrying one or two, and they're starting to show up. And if you see them, you have my email, so feel free to take a picture. It'd be fun to know if they're coming to stores near all of you.
Great. Okay, well, thank you, Bridget. That's all the questions we have. Again, it'll be posted at tribalp2.org. If you have any questions, you had Bridget's contact information, and I know you've got mine because you've got this this webinar announcement, so please feel free to get in touch with me too. Oh, and then I did have one other question that came in, Bridget, and that's whether you can, on the website, if you can search by company like Costco or Home Depot, or if that's something you won't be doing just for endorsement purposes.
You know what? If you want, I think we have a moment. We could even go to the website right now.
Sure. Yep.
Let's just do that. Okay, you should be able to see my browser.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, this is even better idea. So now I can show you our home page and how to find the product page from here. So here's the home page. On the right-hand side, you'll see a little quick box where you can type in products and search that way. You can also find the product listing here under Find Safer Products. You can browse the full listing, or this link here, Find Safer Choices to Use in Your Community, takes you to that community map I showed you. Here's the product page. And let's go ahead. And someone had mentioned Costco, so let's just type in Costco. And you don't have to hit enter. If you just type Costco, it'll do the sort for you. So it looks like we have 4 products from Costco. We have 2 liquid dish and 2 laundry products. So it's pretty simple, just like that, and then you can delete your entry. And then I want to come back up here. So if you're only interested in your personal use for your home, if you sort here just by home, it'll take you to the list. And then I guess one last thing I want to show you. Let's go back to this, and we'll do Costco one last time. So if you click on the product, at the moment we're gathering UPC codes. So one moment. So soon we hope to have all the UPC codes up there, so that'll make it even easier for you to match the products up. But this will give you the name of the product. It also gives you a little bit more information about the company. So this one's Costco Wholesale, and they've been a partner since 2012.
Great, that's really helpful, and that's because they carry that the Costco's listed on there because they carry it as their signature, as a signature brand. But you wouldn't be able to search for, say, Ace Hardware or something like that unless they had.
Oh, Look at that. See, even Home Depot has a couple. But that's
Okay,
that's exactly right. So
okay,
if the retailer has its own branded product, they'll be on our list.
okay.
That we've reviewed and approved. Let's see. For those of you in Colorado, I think there's a King Soopers. They're not on our list. There we go. That's what a no results looks like.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But then if you're looking for a carpet cleaner, we'll just throw out Bissell. And here are the Bissell products, for example. So you can look by retailer. You can also look by the actual product manufacturer like Bissell, or you can look by product type.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's it. Thank you so much, Bridget. I
Oh, you're
appreciate
so
it. I'm sure we all do. And I think that's it for today.
Thank you so much for letting me tell you about the Safer Choice label.
Absolutely. Thanks for your work, and for everyone on the call, let us know if you have any questions. And thanks very much for joining us. Have a good day.